Since the creation of fiction, we've been looking for role models in our stories. Seeing a protagonist face incredible odds and observing how they deal with them can gain you better knowledge on how to do it yourself. You can see this clearly when people say they're not the same person they was one movie ago. This is because a great story seeks not only to entertain, but to inspire. Now, everyone has their own character that they strive to be like, but who's the best? Some common examples are Superman or Batman, but the ones who want to be like Batman are way more likely to be rapists. When people say a character is literally dumb, it's mostly just a surface level thing, a case where some of the traits that they have are quite similar to the character, which of course is fine. I do however think you can truly gain something by looking deeper into certain characters and applying their mindsets into your own day-to-day life. And out of every story out there, I believe there's one character who's the greatest source of inspiration you could ever find. A man constantly fucking up in every pocket of life, yet keeps trying solely due to his great mentality. A mentality anyone can apply with enough effort. I'm of course talking about the potentially best character in all of fiction, Ichiban Kasuga. So, if you don't know and click on this video solely because this dude's face is too alluring, or you just wanna LARP, let me explain Ichiban to you. Ichiban is the protagonist of hit 2019 game Yakuza Like a Dragon, along with hit 2022 game Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. He looks crazy, acts crazy, and spent a solid chunk of his life in prison. 18 years to be exact. Then, once he gets out, he immediately gets shot by his father figure and then waking up in a homeless camp. This is all in the first hours by the way, and the stuff only gets crazier from there. But we're not here to do a by the basics video essay where I just recap the story with nothing else added. No, I'm gonna talk about how adopting Kasuga's batshit mentality is the key to being happy and fulfilled. I'm saying that you need to be Ichiban maxing.
I fucking would. Let's do it! No! More traffic lights! This one! This one! And that little fucker hiding back there.
Number 1. Rush into everything head on. The killer of success is not failure, it's doubt. This is some of the best advice you'll ever hear, so take it to heart. Too many people miss out on too many things because they worry that they will fail or look stupid or anything else. They let doubt stir in their mind, preventing them from achieving what they really want. Then we have Ichiban. There are basically no points in this game where Ichiban has any second thoughts about what he's doing. He never stops to think whether he's capable of something or not. Let's look at an example from the early game. He's at a job center looking for, well, a job, and already by this point he's done a lot of things that many people wouldn't do because they would have too many doubts. Ichiban though doesn't care about his obstacles, and believe me, he does have obstacles when it comes to getting a job. Whereas he's an ex-Yakuza, he's been in prison for 18 years for a murder charge, he's living with homeless, he has a crazy haircut and way more than just these. But to Ichiban, these thoughts don't even cross his mind because he's too focused on getting a job, because to him, that's the best way forward and despite the challenges, he still does it. Continuing on from that, he has a lot of trouble finding work, but he does get this shady mysterious offer about being a bodyguard. And emphasis on the shady. Any normal or reasonable person, in quotes, would never do this thing. But Ichiban sees it as his best way forward, so he does it. The more he finds out, the more dangerous it seems. He's protecting a random bar owner from the Geomule, which I have no clue how to pronounce. By all accounts, this is a bad idea. Namba, who most would consider more reasonable, wants to opt out, but Ichiban doesn't care. In fact, he goes above and beyond, almost getting killed by a crossbow. A death pretty rare after the 1500s. He doesn't though, and the Geomule pull back from stealing the bar's electricity. As a result, Ichiban gets a new job and eventually even a house. Do you notice how despite the potential obstacles, Ichiban doesn't even consider them? This is because he's too busy working towards his goals to care. So if you just do what you want and don't focus on the potential bad things that could happen, you get to focus on a much better potential. Your own. Number 2. Romanticize everything. After your first fight in the game against a dude selling fake porn to some teens, yes, Ichiban decides to return the money to the teens who have been duped instead of taking it to his superiors, which would by all means meet the quota for the day. It would also let him rest on New Year's Eve along with his birthday, but still, he doesn't. His friend is very shocked by this. Like, why the hell would he choose to do extra work instead of taking the quick, easy route? Well, Ichiban explains that he loves Dragon Quest. He plays it constantly, and more than that, he is inspired by it. He wants to be just like the hero from it and wants to fulfill that vision in his day-to-day life. That's why he chooses to return the money to the teams, because it's what a hero would do. Ichiban frames the situation in his mind as a quest to right a wrong, to save some people who've been tricked. And throughout all this, he uses his favorite game as a motivator. This is a form of romanticization, and Ichiban utilizes it constantly. He uses the word like an RPG. His friends and allies are party members joining him in slaying evil. Thugs and others terrorizing the city are viewed as monsters looking to be slain. He views jobs as ways to gain new abilities. I mean, even the combat system itself is a reflection of this. In the objective world, Ichiban is just a guy beating up dudes with a bat. More similar to the other Yakuza games where you have a real-time action system. But to Ichiban, he has more fun and gets more motivated by seeing the fights as turn-based. Just like his favorite game. He believes in this vision so strongly that he gets confused when the Namba and Adachi don't see the thugs as monsters. They do got a pretty solid response to this. They basically say that if it helps Ichiban deal with his obstacles and it doesn't hurt anyone, then go for it. That's the point I'm trying to bring up here. The way you view the world is how the world is. You only have your own point of view in the end, so the world is shaped by how you choose to view it. That's why you should romanticize things. Think of something you like as much as Ichiban likes Dragon Quest and try to apply it to other things in your life. If you like cooking, you can think of your problems like a recipe that you just need to get done. Or you can apply the style of your favorite film to how you view life. Hell, you can straight up view the world in Ichiban's leveling system. When Ichiban makes certain actions, some of his stats improve. These stats are things like confidence, passion, kindness, and more. The higher these stats are, the more they can help him in other parts of the game. And look, this might seem cringe, but it really doesn't matter. The only good Tumblr post talks precisely about this. If you get more motivated to better your life by imagining YouTubers talking you into it, then yeah, just do it. Just like how Ichiban gets more motivated by viewing the world like a Dragon Quest. I mean, he's very open about wanting to be a hero, something that sounds really egotistical. It's basically the same as viewing yourself as the main character, which is pretty heavily clowned upon. But it doesn't matter because Ichiban's goal to become a hero motivates him to help others, take action and do the right thing. If you're bettering yourself in the world around you, who cares if you view yourself as a main character or anything else for that matter? All in all, romanticizing your life will make your obstacles seem easier and therefore you'll be more motivated to overcoming them. Thus, it's pretty much a net positive. And speaking of positives, part 3. Always look for the positives. A big part of Yakuza are the sub-stories. We all know this. It's a common occurrence to forget what you're doing in the crime drama and instead spend hours fucking around with randoms. Ichiban gets into some strange shit in these stories, helping create a giant Roomba, capturing a river pisser, and more. Nearly all sub-stories are absurd in some way. Both you and Ichiban are gonna be scratching your heads throughout most of them. Though, let's go back a few words. These sub-stories are absurd. I'm using absurd very deliberately here. Absurdism is all about accepting that life is weird and nonsensical and still finding meaning in it. And the sub-stories are full of this. Let's look at the Michio questline. Ichiban finds his producer of a mascot character looking distressed. Like I mentioned with rushing head on, and Kasuga goes to check on him no hesitation and finds out he dropped a bunch of knockoff figures of the mascot along with the real ones. Worse yet, the knockoffs explode if you press a button on them, which you will find out the hard way if you're very persistent. Kasuga is asked to pick out the real figurines through the fake ones while not blowing himself up. Now, on the surface, this seems nonsensical. Why not just play it safe and throw away all the figures after you got mixed up? Why not run away from the situation entirely? Or hell, why care enough about these knockoffs entirely from the start? However, when you're done you find out more about the mascot Michio. He represents a port town in Japan and is meant to celebrate the culture there. People there really like him too. The old people spend their time handcrafting the figures, putting their heart and soul into this. With this added context, this goes from not trying to get blown up while picking up warfare action figures, and instead is about making sure a community of people get to share their culture. Even in a small way, Ichiban gains a more positive worldview by viewing it like this instead of just focusing on the problems, which is exactly what you should be doing too. If you look for positives even in strange or boring situations, you'll learn more and be happier for it. Try to do like Ichiban at the end of every sub-story. He always has a thought about what he just did. Like gaining more insight about running his city after spending time with a guy whose job it is to count people and cars going down his street. A very boring thing, but he does get something from it. So basically, reflect briefly after experiencing something and try to glean something from it. You might not always get a useful insight from it, but it's still better to try despite the outcome, which at the end of the day is what Ichiban is all about. Number 4. Help out your friends and community. I mentioned earlier in the romanticization section that Ichiban views his friends and allies as party members. At a glance, this might seem selfish, viewing people as ways to help him in combat and like, but the truth could not be any more different. Ichiban loves his friends, to the point where he'd do anything for them. This is really apparent with the main three Ichiban hangs out with: Namba, Psycho, and Adachi. There are frequent conversations that pop out when you're just walking around that you don't have to engage with. But you should still listen to these conversations. Even if almost all of them are not about a big important topic, you should still take time to listen and engage with the things they bring up. For each one of these conversations, along with other activities you can do with your friends, their bond meter goes up. There are several levels to this bond meter, and before going to the next one, you have to go for a more in-depth conversation at the bar with each individual friend. Here, Ichiban sits down and truly listens to the hardship these guys are dealing with. More than that, he provides advice to the friends, and at the end of these small quests, he helps them out with their problem fully. This is how you should be living as well. Help out the people you care about when needed, even in small ways. It takes a burden off their shoulders. A big theme of Like a Dragon is friendship and how we're stronger together, which may seem cliche, but it's totally true. Ichiban helps out his friends along with the random people he meets in the sub-stories, and they help him back, learning new moves or coming in like pound mates, which sounds a lot worse than it actually is. Ichiban is consistently selfless throughout the game, and he feels better for it. The times he's at his lowest are when he's alone, both gameplay and story-wise. It also helps that he doesn't really care about the shallow stuff about people. I mean, his best friends are a homeless guy fired for selling medication, a detective who spent all his money on women and booze, and an alcoholic who involves himself way too much in others' affairs. All of this, and he still loves them. So beautiful, man. Number 5. Always have a goal to run at. If you look at the map in Like a Dragon, you'll always find this pink circle along with a million other icons signaling sub-stories, activities, and places to eat grub. These are your goals, and this being a video game, you naturally go toward them. And to save time and be effective, you most likely run towards them. And you know what? You should do the same. And I know what you could be saying. Oh, this is a video game. It's just a game thing that clearly signals where you need to go. In real life, you can just run at your goals, and everyone doesn't even have a goal to run it anyway. While true, this is a streamlined way video games present information, this actually isn't true for Ichiban in the game. Despite not knowing this is a game, Ichiban still has a goal constantly and always runs right at it. Once again, this ties into the first point of rushing into everything head first. He's just the type of guy who constantly works towards his goals, so who says you can't do the same? If you try saying you don't have a big or important enough goal to be running at, you're just coping. The goals don't need to be big. They can be going for a run, cleaning your room, basically anything, because the more you do, the more chances you get to experience something new, which can turn into the bigger goal you claim to want. This is basically another example of dudes saying they want a scenario to protect their loved ones but can't be bothered to take out the trash. You know, matter of fact, one of the mission goals in Like a Dragon is legit take out the trash, which Ichiban once again runs at despite it being really small. He does it because he seeks to complete all his goals, and you should too. Having a goal, no matter how small, gives you meaning, which is what life's all about. Number 6. Be like the dragonfish. Finally, let's take a look under the covers of Ichiban. As he says, he looks better stripped down. Like other important Yakuza character, he has a back tattoo. His is of a dragonfish. And you might think, what the hell is a dragonfish? Well, I thought so too, so I delved into some research. According to ancient Chinese and Japanese legend, a school of koi fish were swimming up the Yellow River. At the end of the river was a waterfall. Most of the fish gave up and let the stream carry them downriver again. Only a few remained attempting to swim up the waterfall. A seemingly impossible task. This was hard enough, but to add insult to injury, a few demons saw the koi fish attempting to swim up the waterfall, and for no reason other than to be total dicks, they made it even higher. Most of the fish tried, but eventually they gave up, letting the river carry them away. But one didn't. He kept swimming up, falling down and then swimming up again, and after 100 years he leapt over the waterfall, finally conquering it. As a reward, the gods turned him into a big, powerful dragon. The dragonfish symbolizes perseverance, strength, will, motivation, and bravery. Now, I may have an unreliable source of this because I got it from the International Koi Organization website, but nevertheless, it is the best inspiration you could have. While yes, there are more powerful creatures that exist, like the regular dragon, which represents wisdom, strength, etc., but it doesn't have that inherent struggle that we as people are faced with and, if you ask me, need. The dragonfish shows you can be seemingly ordinary but still rise to become your best self by trying even while the goal seems impossible. To bring an extra nice bit to this story, the koi fish didn't know he would be turned into a dragon after clearing the waterfall. He just saw an impossible task he himself wanted to overcome and did so over a very long time with constant effort. Remember, this is what Ichiban chooses to have permanently inked upon his body. I don't think anything could fit him better. He was born in a soapland, rock bottom, but kept fighting. Then he got sent to prison for 18 years for a crime he didn't commit, but he kept fighting. Then he got shot by men he respected the most, running up in a new town specifically among the homeless, but he still kept fighting. Despite every hardship Ichiban faces in this game, and believe me, there are a lot of hardships, he always gets back up and he tries again, each time becoming a better version of himself. This is the mentality to live a fulfilled life, and it's the core to why Ichiban is the best possible inspiration. So, to do a quick summary of these points. Rush into everything head on. Romanticize everything. Always look for the positives. Help out your friends and community. Always have a goal to run at, and of course, be like the dragonfish. These are all hard to do, but I sincerely believe that if you follow these points and apply them into your everyday life, you'll turn into a much more happy and fulfilled version of yourself. Thank you for watching, and remember, Ichiban also proves that you can have a whack haircut and still accomplish a lot.